about this all.
I think we're ready.
Are we live?
Yes, normally.
Yes. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Académie Lafayette December meeting. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure everybody saw the tragic news. We did lose a teacher very suddenly a couple weeks ago, which was heartbreaking for the school community as a whole and for the individual's family. So I appreciate everything the school is doing to work with the family. It is a complicated process. She was here alone, and so I really appreciate everything the school is doing to connect with the family and help with anything they need, as well as thinking about what our school community needs with the very, very sad loss. So I will leave it at that, but our thoughts are with them, and hopefully they can have the closure that they need. With that, can we get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I move to approve when passed.
Second?
You want to amend it to add October?
Yeah, we do want to amend it because the
Okay.
October minutes were not approved in last month's meeting. So just want to amend number 3 to approve October and November.
Okay, so second that then?
Do we have a second?
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. That was discussion, so everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Marvin. All right, motion carries. Next piece, I know we have some fall athletes that we want to recognize. I think they're right outside the door. Oh, in the library, got it.
Who did we approve the November or the December agenda? Yes, we just approved the agenda. Right. When we approve the agenda, is that approving the minutes?
No, separate. Yes, correct.
So who,
That'll come next.
Michelle made the motion, and Gwen seconded.
Come on in. Welcome. You guys can take a spot right here at the front. Go ahead and join us. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I have some handouts.
How's everybody doing tonight?
I like all the sweatshirts.
I know. The gear is awesome. Very cool.
It's very practical. So what
Right,
we
yes.
found out with uniforms, we're trying to be fiscally responsible, is that we had other warm-ups that we had for 7 years for both cross-country and track season used by the girls. And then those get discontinued. So we'll scan your, so you know. We're like, oh, but then you have to order new sizes, and the team gets bigger, and you're replacing things. Like, we don't make those pants. We don't make those tops, but we don't make pants. Like, and then vice versa. So, we have just a few of our kids here tonight. A lot of our 8th graders are very busy doing some papers. So for those who don't know me, I'm Coach Brenda. This coming track season will be my 14th season at Lafayette. We just finished technically our 8th season for cross country, although we missed the season, track and cross country seasons for COVID. So you'll see different numbers on here. And our team captains aren't here tonight. They're all 8th graders. We had Eli Nash, Evelyn Kramer, Claudia Wilson, and Katie, that's her daughter, and Theo Goss. So those were our captains. And now I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and say your grade, okay?
I'm getting 6th grade. Summer Martinez, and I'm 7th grade. Evan Shepard, I'm 8th grade.
So they are helping represent tonight. And I want to just say we've had such a great season. As when I've come before you guys before, we get to come and talk to you about our winning and about our success, but it isn't something that at a daily practice or that is a goal of our team. Our goal is for everyone to PR by the end of the season. Our goal is to develop team camaraderie, leadership, all those things. So we don't talk about the winning a lot in practice. We talk about the goals of what we're trying to achieve personally and as a team and behavior and all those good things. So, and which they're all behaved mostly. But we had roughly 53 members on our team, 52 members on our team this year.
Wow.
Boys and girls combined. We train boys and girls together. Same with track. We're the only sports that do that. That's really important to me because I feel like it's when they learn how to be together and do things together, it's just like they're going to have to be in corporations and businesses and everywhere else in their life, right? So we're practicing. I find our sports, at least the cross country and track, as a practicing ground for character traits, work ethic, things that they're going to need later in life. So perseverance, especially, very hard to run. I don't know. Everyone ever go out and try to run even a mile. It's your own wits against the world, right? Like you are the one that has to keep your feet moving. You get tired, you can stop anytime. It takes a significant amount of courage to be able to get out there and do it. So I really am so proud of these kids. We have our year-end celebration on January 10th. We're going to get through all the crazy, the busyness right now, and then we're going to be celebrating on the 10th. All right, so I want to just kind of go over a couple things. They're not here tonight, but I want to say that, again, we are most proud of these kids for their perseverance and sportsmanship in achieving their personal goals. I couldn't be more proud to coach Académie Lafayette when we go to meet. These kids help other people up, they cheer them on from others. It's just a nice thing to see, and I'm really proud to be represented by them, and you should be as well. I got an assistant coach this year, Monica Erdman. She's got 3 kids in the school. It's been wonderful to have her. And then Hugh Wooden, who doesn't even have children in school anymore, and doesn't even have one in high school anymore, still helps with the program. He comes to me. He helps do some logistics for us. And I send him all of our stats, and he puts in beautiful spreadsheets because that would take me 3 hours. And he's nerdy like that. Don't tell him. But he gets that done in like 15 minutes. So some of our team highlights. So our girls and boys teams remain undefeated for the 7th straight season in our league.
Phenomenal.
Yes, both winning the ILKC Metro Championships with near perfect scores of 16. And that's by placing our scoring runners 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. That's what each of the teams did. Perfect scores 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have done that many times in the past. Eli Nash was our 2022 Boys City champion and was undefeated in league meet. Elliot Williamson was the 2022 boys runner-up. For the past 7 years, for both boys and girls, we have won the team championship, the individual boys championship, runner-up, and girls champion and runner-up. So no one's ever come in first and second. It's been kind of amazing. He was followed by Theo Goss, who was 3rd, Tono Bias was 4th, Stuart Wilson was 6th, and that was all their scoring order. Ella Messner was the 2022. She's a 7th grader, girls champion, and was undefeated in the league. She smashed the school record and course record for 1.7 miles in 10:06.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
It's insane. So that is roughly a 5-minute 56-second mile pace.
Wow.
Over almost. And over hill and dale, that's not on like a nice little track. So Taylor Bielmir was the 2022 girls runner-up, followed by Evelyn Kramer in 3rd, Ellery Ridenour in 4th, and Liv Borgmeyer in 6th. Just if you're curious, there's only one 8th grader on that girls team. All the rest are 7th graders.
Wow.
In the top scoring order. As top finishers, all of the boys and girls are considered all-city, as well as Oliver Acorn, Sylvie Erdman, Adele Kuntz, and Cleo Tuttle. We all worked together toward the big goal, which was at the end of the year, the state meet. Second season for the state meet, since it's been introduced in Missouri. On October 22nd, at the Missouri State Cross Country Championships, girls won their 2nd straight title. If you're ever playing trivia, and they ask who was the first middle school girl to win a state title in the state of Missouri, it will be Académie Lafayette. So they were back-to-back champs, and Ella Messner is our first state champion from Académie Lafayette. She won in a record time of school record and a course record of 11:57. So again, sub 6-minute miles on a 2 mile, very hard course. and they got to race, so it was down at Lucas Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri, and it was a whole, it was really tough course. Yeah, it was the hills, and then it was like, it's a racetrack. It's a dirt racetrack that they race these cars on, and they got to be out on it. It was, I found that great. Got to run their dirt bricks. See, this is what I do to them. I go, look what you got to do. They're like, oh. And they do it, and they did it with such amazingness. Then I have to tell you that, that we had Taylor Bielmeier 3rd, Evelyn Kramer 10th, Ellery Ridenour 13th, and Liv Borgmeyer 23rd. And so we had almost all of our girls earned, were in the top 25. That's all state. But the boys did a really cool thing. They were without their team captain, and they were without their number 1 runner, Eli Nash. And so we had devised a plan to overcome that, but it was going to be really tight and really close. And by God, they did it. They did it. They won. So they were led. So they break into classes, class 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5, just like they do in high school. So we're a small school, and then there's medium schools, and then there's large schools. But just in case you're curious, the girls would have won. We won the small school. We would have won the medium school, and we would have won the large division. Wow. So we would have won every single division. They would have won the small school, and they would have won the medium school, and they would have been second in the large division by about 5 points. And that was without their top, without the number 1. Awesome. So this is crazy good. Elliot Williamson took 5th place, Theo Goss 8th, Tony Baez 11th, Stuart Wilson 18th, Oliver Acorn 24th, and Nicholas Batista 25th. That's a lot to have in the top 25. They all got all-state honors. And they did this by packing together and doing teamwork, and it was really amazing to watch. It was perfect execution. Earning top spots on our state teams, we had, you can read the list there, Sydney Butters, Adele Coons, Sylvie Erdman, Cleo Federline, Abby Schieber, Avery Mays, Evelina Webb, Claudia Wilson, Lennon Cubey, Emily Williams, Paisley Cook, Vegeta Ben, Elon Seidman, Nico, Booth, Wes, Jack Ben, Ben Bautista, Dustin McKinney, and Eli Riley. And so this was a wonderful experience. We were able to expand the number of kids that could qualify this year, so that was very cool. And I just want to say I'm at the 2-mile distance, so then we look kind of where we stand. This is really crazy. At the 2-mile distance, Ella Messner is currently the fastest middle school girl in the state of Missouri and Kansas. She's ranked the 10th fastest 7th grader at 2 miles in the entire nation. Wow. Taylor Bielmeier is the 6th fastest 7th grade girl in Missouri at 2 miles. At 1.7 miles, Ella is ranked number 1 in both Missouri and Kansas, and she's 5th ranked 7th grader in the nation overall. At 1.5 miles, Ella is ranked 1st in both Missouri and Kansas. Taylor Bielmeier is 4th ranked 7th grader in Missouri, and Ellery Ridenour is 12th among 7th graders in the state of Missouri. It's really, we're so lucky, and they worked so hard to get there. All members of the ALMSXT team achieved PRs, personal records, by the end of the season. At our league meet, the boys team, this was why they did well at state. So we watched this progression, right? And they're like, they don't complain, but when they get 3rd at an invitational in October, like, well, we didn't win. I'm like, it doesn't matter, because this is the progression. Yep. Just like at school, right? Like, you want them to keep doing better and better and better. And they did it. I mean, it was perfect how they did it. So they had 27 of 31 of the kids that ran that day get PRs at our league meet. And girls had 10 and 22. 2 individuals, I think, deserve really special recognition. We talk about the Ellas and the kids that are ranked in the state, right? But here's why we do cross-country. And why we don't cut. We don't cut from track. We don't cut from cross-country. We coach all the kids. Right? So we have Paisley Cook, and you guys would know her mom, Alexis, and our school nurse, cut her mile pace, not her time, from an 11:14 per mile pace at the start of the season to an 8:05.
That's a lot.
Goodness.
Dustin McKinney
Crawford cut an incredible 4 minutes and 22 seconds off of his mile pace and was running a 7-minute and 49-second pace when he made the state meet. Both of them made the state meet team. And they were both running over 11 minutes a mile. They became solid cross-country runners, and I think for me that's like the coolest thing that ever happened, watching this kid. And this one right here, too, is about one of the gustiest kids I've ever seen who run. I'm just saying. It's amazing. And then we had a fourth and fifth grade team. Coach Barber, I had one of the parents, younger parents, step up this year. He was helping a lot more with the fourth and fifth graders. We had about 53 or 54 fourth and fifth graders. So it's, again, a development program. And they got to do an invitational this year. So we're trying to introduce more activities for them, the abilities to compete. It's not to compete to win, it's to compete to challenge ourselves, right? So we're always like trying to go out and find how we can work harder. And this was crazy too. So our fifth graders, all the fifth graders were allowed to run. It was a Barstow Invitational. We begged to be let in because it was all sixth graders. We're like, can we just want to run and have fun? Our fifth graders ran up, they competed up against sixth graders at Barstow, against a bunch of like, it would be like St. Paul's, Visitation, a lot of parochial schools. And our runners won the meet, our boys won the meet, and our girls took a close second by 1 point. So it was just crazy. I want to thank Jared Barber too. He had T-shirts printed for the kids and stickers printed for the kids. And I want to really thank, any of you know that John Reyna, who's the St. Elizabeth's coach, he helped coordinate. But for him, we would not have had any meets for our fourth and fifth graders. They wouldn't let us run in the parochial league. And he said, I'm going to plan fun meets at Blues Park. And he and I worked on that together. He invited Pembroke. He had St. Paul's kids there, and they ran. And that's the joy of running with other kids and having it be fun. One day they go to teammates together. So we're just very pleased for the opportunity and your constant support. Do you have any questions for our kids? Anything you are curious about?
This is awesome. Great.
Do you have anything you want them to know about cross country?
I think she explained it really well. We don't cut anybody. We try to improve everything that we can. Cross country.
Yeah. They just did a fantastic job. I'm not even going to cry. I'm getting better at that.
Very impressive. Well, thank you all for the dedication, and the hard work, and thank you. I mean, your years of support of this program is really tremendous. It wouldn't be what it is without you, and your philosophy, I think, is exactly what we hope to do as a school, is really about character and just team building and teamwork and trying hard. So I love everything you do and appreciate all the work you put into it and all the hard work you guys put into it as well. So thank you.
Good job.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for the highlight.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you. That meant a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, this is very awesome.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Have a good night. All right. So now we can move on to approval of November minutes to start with. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Jen.
Second,
Gwen.
any discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. We also need to do the same for October minutes since we did not get to that at the last meeting. So, motion to approve October.
I move to approve the October meeting minutes.
Any discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you all. All right. Any governance updates?
We really don't.
That was quick. Yeah. Finance.
All right. So, for accounts payable, we want to go to accounts payable. So during finance meeting, we just discussed some of the items that were in the finance packet, AT&T UVerse, AP software services. We didn't really discuss anything beyond those transactions. Those were the ones that were really just highlighted and needed to talk about. But any questions as you were going through that Excel file?
Just happy to see we got the refund from AT&T.
Yes.
They had been overcharging us, so that was good to see.
Yep, that was a really good refund, so
Right.
really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yep. If there's no questions on that, can we have a motion to approve those transactions?
So moved, Michelle.
Second.
I'll second that, Mike.
Any discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
So then the finance report, so October, from a cash in, cash out perspective, we received more than we spent by $1 million. So, and what that is the DESI Fix the Glitch came in, so got an extra $1 million. So that's really exciting there. And so cumulative, July through October, we've received more than we spent by about $500,000. So we're already over break even at this point. So that's, again, really exciting. Really happy to be a part of that. Variances, if you may have saw in the finance packet as well, just some of the variances there. We've had the DESI payment, that was one big variance. Parking lot repairs as an expense, bus repairs as an expense, armored architect's fees, just to name a few. I didn't want to spend too much time on the variances just because we're going to talk about a budget revision here in just a minute, but just wanted to highlight those were in the packet. Next slide. Kind of related to financial statements, the 2021-22 financial audit, it's in process. We do have to have that uploaded to DESI, the approved audit, by the end of this month. So we may need to have a special meeting once that's done. It's still in process, so I wanted to at least put the board on notice just to know that that's coming up. Our auditor, they've had a lot of school audits, and there's been compression for them. I reached out to them today just to find out if they had a better idea of when that would be completed. They're still looking at like the last week of December is when that'll be ready. So kind of down to the wire on that. So we may want to tentatively schedule a virtual meeting for that last week in December. I know that's extremely painful for everyone. Chew on that, and I can get with Beth.
Do they allow email approval? Do we know? I'll check with Dana. I'm curious if we can do an email approval.
I'd have to look into it too. There has to be board minutes in order to upload to the system.
Got it.
Otherwise, it'll get rejected. I reached out to DESI as well. There is some grace. We would be, what's the term I'm looking for? We'd be marked on a list saying that we hadn't submitted, and that goes on like a monitoring list. What that does is it like increases our risk to be monitored by DESI, be chosen for monitoring, desk monitoring, desk audit.
So we don't want to be on that list.
We don't want to be on that list. If we can avoid it, that's better, obviously. But they also can withhold funding, and there is grace there. Tammy Lehman, she said that as long as we have the audit submitted by like the 6th to the 10th of January, they won't withhold funding. But again, we don't want to go down that route. If we can get approved, or if we can get it submitted on time, I would much rather be in that position. I know that it's really the auditors, and like I said, they're just behind, and it's just like every other service industry. They don't have the workers. Yep.
Do we know if we have a quorum that would be available the last week for us? I'm available.
We would need 5 people.
I'm just going to say that my preference would be that we do something earlier in the morning rather than an evening during the holidays, just with traveling and all of that. And I am concerned about a quorum.
Yeah. So, are you available then?
I'm available the whole time.
So we have 4, yeah, but I know that's so horrible. Yeah, we'll follow up.
Yes, we'll follow
Figure
up.
out.
Yep.
It would definitely be a morning.
Next slide for me. All right, so budget revision. I'm really excited about this. So as we talked about last month, DESI issued the adjustment for the funding to fix the glitch. So we do have additional funds available to balance the budget that we weren't really expecting back in June, the original approved budget. So we had several areas to keep in mind. I've listed them here on the screen, but also We always keep in mind educating the children of Kansas City to become globally minded, locally active, critical thinkers, through immersion. So, but we also, I guess we lost them. Go backwards. But we did want to keep in mind student activities, student improvement, social workers, family assistance, essentially. I had transportation as well on a side column, but that's okay, we dropped that off. Next slide for me. So, this is what I'm proposing for budget revision. This here is our, the revised budget is what I'm proposing. This is what we approved in June. And on the far right is, the change. I did have this in your finance packet, so I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. It has been slightly modified a little bit from what I provided last week. But, just want to kind of go through, so we're changing revenue by $1.6 million. We're changing expense by just about $400,000. And then, debt service, we're changing just a little bit from the debt refinance for $1,000. And then capital projects, I want to add $456 to it. And so you may be saying, all right, well, what did we change by $1.6 million? So we go to our next slide for me. And so, obviously, you just changed a little bit. That's just a better rate than what we had back in June. Just more information now. Basic formula, so that's our $1 million fix the glitch. That's where that's coming in. Food service and Fed ideas, those are just some allocations that I changing for enrollment, our more accurate enrollment, going to pass on that $200. Then transportation. So back in May, June last year, the governor passed the bill to fully fund transportation. We knew about that back then. We were kind of being conservative at 280. We might get 360 this year, but I still want to be a little bit conservative, so I'm just bumping it to 300. The grants and donations, just bump that up to a better estimate, so bump that by 55,000. School Smart, so our School Smart grant that we received, we actually received $216,000 in July. It was carryover from last year, so it was a timing issue. We were thinking we were going to get it in June, and so when the budget was approved, we were thinking it was going to land last year, but it landed in this year, so I just picked that up just to be more in line with actual. The 1,600 is kind of minimal, but that's just actual of what we actually received. And then other receipts. So the reason why I'm bumping other receipts by $433,000, Kansas City also, last year we had the MOU with the Fix the Glitch. We had carryover in July, just like with School Smart. We received $380,000 in July. That was from prior year. And then we also received E-rate reimbursement of $62,000. So that's where that $400,000 adjustment is coming from. Any questions on our revenue adjustments?
So we received additional money. On the School Smart case, it was from last year's budget.
Yeah, it was from last year.
And this Kansas City one, does it mean that if we had received that money at the time we earned them, last year's budget would be balanced or no?
No.
Okay.
So it's because we're cash basis.
No, what I'm saying, yeah, I know, but if that money came when they were supposed to come.
Yes, if it would have come last year, then it would have been shown on last year's budget.
Okay.
So do we have to adjust this year to assume that some of what we think may come in this year might come in?
We don't have to, but we won't, because we don't have an MOU now with.
Oh, yeah, we don't have an
with Kansas City, but good thought, yep.
School Smart is
and
done with them.
Yep, and School Smart.
It's the last payment
of this.
in December. They need to pay. It's going to come in December. We submitted the report, so they'll be paying it in December.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's fixing the glitch thing.
It really helps. It really does. We also have some, like, ESSER money, too, that also helps us, but that was already planned. matching those up by $222,000. And what that is, with us operating our own transportation here, Armor, we have to pay those individuals. And so, we estimate that's going to be about $120,000. And so that's, part of that 222. But then also, we're amending the budget to include athletics, and the sports. We hadn't originally planned for those. And so that's about $100,000. So
Stipends.
yes, stipends for clubs and athletics. And so that's the 222. Benefits, so last month you approved the increase in insurance, and so I'm capturing that here. We were estimating about $250,000. The difference between the 250 and the 297 is part of transportation, just the benefits there as well. And then for summer school, I matched that to the summer school analysis that we did last month. We were coming in at actual expense of 586, so I just bumped it from 550. We went over budget on expense, so I bumped that to what had actually happened. Facilities, kind of minimal, but that boiler repairs at Cherry, so we didn't have that in the budget. Doing a budget amendment, might as well pick it up. Transportation, so we've adjusted this quite a bit, by $400,000. And what that is, we were originally planning $1 million, $1.1 million for contracted service. However, we reduced the contracted service down by $600,000. We're not having to use them as much. We're being tiered as well, so we're getting a better rate than what we had originally planned. So that turns out to be $600,000, but we are also increasing our district operated. We obviously didn't plan for district operated at that point in time, and so that's $200,000 of expense. So if we reduce this by $600,000, but then increase it by $200,000, that's our $400,000 difference there. Other expense, we're picking up some additional expense there, about $200,000. And what that is, we didn't plan for sports, clubs, trip. We are going to pick up 50% of the 11th grade trip. And so I think that was promised at one point in time to the 11th graders.
3 years ago.
And that's $50,000 right there. Textbooks, we went over budget at Oak on textbooks. They had to purchase new textbooks for the math program. We're piloting the new math program.
We're going to Eureka Math in French because the one we're using, Envision Math, they had a lot of problems with them. It's discontinued. They owe us money. We paid money there. Maybe we should sue them, but we're not getting anything. So we have to shift to Eureka Math and pay for that. We're doing it for kindergarten and first grade piloting this year, and we have some examples, some samples, or some books for different grades, all the grades. Can you explain a little?
The idea is that we're going to launch it in K and 1, pilot in one class at each campus.
Yeah.
Second through fifth.
Yeah, that's what we bought. So after, at the end of the school year, we'll see how effective it is. But there are a lot of schools using it, and it was recommended during one of the French immersion schools meeting. So it's in French. So very likely that's what we're going to go with for the whole K-5 next year.
Some additional items there too. Staff appreciation we had budgeted for that the PTO used to take care of. We put that into our own budget now. That's about everything that makes it that $200,000. And then interest on the loan, so I'm adjusting that down from the debt refinance that we're expecting with CBKC. And then the next slide, advance for just a moment. This is the principal on that same debt, so it's about $9,000 savings. I'm kind of anticipating, assuming that all goes through, and then go back for me. Any questions over those expenses?
I know we're working on, we're gonna work on next year's budget. What is
Yes.
the likelihood that next year's transportation will be around 800,000?
Around how much?
800,000.
Well, are we planning to expand our,
No, if you stay as it is, I mean, we can work on it.
we'll have to discuss that, I don't know.
The reason I'm asking you was, remember, our fear was how the transportation we used to pay with, T-White, we used to pay around 800,000 a year. That's where we are now, what we're projecting. And we were afraid that it's gonna go 1.2 million when we were discussing the budget back in January, in June.
Well, I will say this, so in just November, we spent about $20,000 on salaries. So if we take 20,000 and multiply by 10 months, $200,000 in salaries, and then $200,000 in transportation expense, $400,000, that seems really low. So I'd have to run more numbers on it, but just kind of
Thank you.
running on the fly there. Any other questions over the expenses? Go 2 slides.
2 slides.
All right, so then capital expense. We also want to talk about capital expense. So in the original budget, we just had those top 2 lines there. The armor renovations at $300,000, which the board did approve in July, not to exceed $500,000. I just want to bump it to 414, which is the actual pay application from Tim, our contractor. So that's why that's going up 114. Bus purchases, we came in under budget, so we had 107 there. We bought them for 70, so we saved some money there. So we're going to bump that down. And then just some additional items. So the Cherry Playground, there is a safety concern there with the current structure and that we need to remove anyways, which that removal is about $15,000, and then the remaining is about $46,000 to put up a new structure, a new basketball goal, and a funnel type goal as well. And so I'm recommending that we go ahead and put that in the new budget, or at least revision. The paging system that we talked about. Yes.
Did that end up including soccer field?
No,
Okay, so that's the actual play
just the structure.
play area.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Last month, we talked about the paging system, and the board approved $80,000, not to exceed $80,000, so I put that here on our budget. And then there's some also safety concerns over at the Oak Playground, and they're estimating repairs of about $5,000, what Jeff was telling me, so, we're doing a budget revision, let's capture it. Parking repairs, these were already completed, over the summer. We didn't budget for them though, so I'm capturing those $22,000. The Armor music, so we're hoping to do, a music in a French room, at the 3rd or 2nd floor.
The 4th floor, there's a 4th floor over there. The room is adjacent to the mechanics. The whatever flow area where they return air, and there's no intensity or whatever, and the noise is getting into that room. It's supposed to be a high school French room. So what we're trying to do is build a close opening, but we need to make sure they have enough ducts for return air, because all the air is going there, but it's open. So in the room, there's a lot of noise. So what we're planning is build maybe a wall to close it and put ducts for return air. The other one is the music room. We're doing just like we do invest in the arts. Art room is done next month when we're doing the board meeting. Hopefully the whole board will go and visit the science room and the new art room. It will be done. So what we're doing is just putting 2 classrooms, breaking the wall. We're breaking the wall and have 2 classrooms for instrumental music or whatever. So what we're planning is have two music rooms based on whatever they're doing, is a orchestra and band, whatever, and then the other one will be choir in the 1st floor. So students will be able to choose whichever they want to do. We may not be having a middle school music teacher and a high school music teacher, but depending on the specials, what kids can choose to do. So that's the idea. Because we invested in science, we're really top notch. We want to do the same thing for arts, visual art and music. That's why. So it's 3 rooms that we're renovating for $50,000.
And then the safety Raptor, that's like an intruder system. We briefly talked about that last month, $15,000, bumping up to pick up that. Also another safety issue is for our buses, to install GPS and then cameras on those buses. We're talking $21,000. That, and then, architect fees, that's kind of related to this item here. We paid $13,000 in architect fees, so again, adding that to the capital project. And then Scott Rice, we had furniture purchases of $111,000, and so also
That one should be paid through the
through
the CSP grant,
grant.
the federal grant money we're receiving. Furniture normally is part of that.
And I think for the paging system, we might want Celia to get back together with Ken, because I think
Okay.
that he had identified that could help with that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Any questions over those capital projects? So then we would need a motion to revise our budget. So we would revise it to revenues, $1,700,000. Expenses, we're revising to $17,000,000. Debt service, we're revising to $352,000. And capital projects, we're revising to $863,000. So we're talking about a surplus then of $500,000 is what we're revising. So we went from break even, not including capital projects, we're planning to dip into reserves, to now surplus after capital projects.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's a good motion to approve.
Yes.
So, I'll move to approve budget revision as presented by Steve. What's your name in there? Right.
I second it.
Right. Any discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. That's exciting. That's a good financial place to be, I would say.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the performance committee met last week to review the 2022 math report and the NWA. Yesterday released the state results, so our consultant, Bruce Helson, were able to put together the presentation that I'm sharing with you. So we're starting with the map first. Generally, so if you see below basic, there are 4 levels below basic, proficient, and advanced. What we're presenting is what is the percentage of our kids by ethnicity, low income, and all kids in science, math, and communication art who are proficient and advanced. So we also, as we've always done, compare 3 years, and also we compare ourselves with the surrounding suburban school district to have an idea, and the state also. The black part is, the black graph is ACPS, the yellow one is the state, and you have here 4 other or 5 other I would say four of the suburban school districts: Park Hill, Liberty, Lee Summit, and Blue Spring. And this is English language arts. I say even though all our instructions are in French, generally English language art we've always outperformed the suburban school district. Last year we went down and went up again. In general, yeah. So that's why when you hear parents saying, whenever you hear any parent being concerned about the language part, that's our list. We don't have an issue with that. But we need to work on these other things, but not in English language art. And this is in mathematics. You see, 2019, we outperformed all these districts. So last year, we went really down. This has never unheard of. Nobody know what was it. So I heard most of our kids put on their TV, their whatever, log in. It was online. Remember that? Log in and go and get back to sleep, and turn off the camera. I talked to teachers and kids because I cannot understand it. So that's what I heard. So last year we went back. That's how do you say it? In April, we went back to 49. We outperformed again the state and Liberty. We still need to get back to where we were before. Some of the school districts went back in person before us.
That's what I was wondering.
Went back there. I know Blue Spring went in person a long time before us, but I don't know but we have work to do. The second one also, I should say, for this one, and we will see it below, later, we were not able to offer academic support as effective as we used to do. I see that many of the students who used to, especially in math, were not attending. So that's why one of the things we're trying to do is offer bus service in the afternoon, and also work with the parents for the kids to stay. The teachers have been really complaining about not having kids who need support to get the support.
And that continues, so that's not just a statement about last year, that continues this year.
This year too. Yeah. This year too. But last year, I used to work around to look at it, but the kids who used to be really supported, I don't see it. I don't see the diversity we used to have in academic support. The only kids I saw attending, especially here, I know of, or Caucasian kids, white kids. I've seen very few minority kids, and you can see it there. So that's something we need to make sure we're more aggressive.
How long till we can offer transportation to students staying after school?
We have been talking about it. Maybe when we come back.
Right. Yes. So so will that?
We just need to probably communicate.
So at least here. But there's a multi-pronged approach to see how to support minority kids and low-income kids. In science, we're still up, but we're down closer to the other suburban school. Science also, we have always outperformed, for one reason or another, all the suburban surrounding school districts year after year. The only school district that was closer is Blue Spring, especially in math. So this is the general, all students. So we have to get back in the next few years back to where we used to be, at least even better than that.
Can you mention the social studies math swap, or is that coming
for the
later?
measures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about it.
Sorry.
It's at the end, what we're doing, what we're going to do to support. And this is by race and ethnicity. We still have, everybody was down and then starting going up, but there is still a lot of work to be done. I think the Hispanic stays the same. This is English language art. But it's still, you can see the gap here, still there. In math, the drop was more dramatic in 2021. Everybody's coming back, but has to work again and get back to where we used to be. There was a comparison between us, there's a comparison between us with other schools, how minority and low income did. There, we were, I think, outperformed by Blue Spring, but we outperform all the rest of the others. Science, same thing, there's a dip and go up. But I think remember, science is only tested in 5th grade, in 8th grade, and now in high school. 5th grade last year was really challenging. There's a lot of instability. If you follow it, you know that not only new teachers, some teachers were not here, and was a tough one. And I think we did not do as well as we used to do in 5th grade. The second one is, that's why during the summer, this last summer, we decided to put a heavy support for the 6th grade, this current 6th grade. That's what we did in mathematics. And also a heavy support for 3rd grade, 2nd grade coming to 3rd grade, because that's where we saw that there's more issue, more challenges in performance. So that's what we're doing. So we're supporting the 3rd grade this year, English language art, because of what we noticed in NW tests, but also the 6th graders in math. We started in the summer. And any question about math tests before we move to the NWA?
Oh, I mean, just that I know overall test scores went down, so it's not surprising to see. Test scores went down, everybody saw that, and I don't think test scores are the end-all be-all to know, are we being successful, right? I think there's so much more that goes into it, which is why I appreciate in this strategic plan, we have multiple measures that we're looking at. What gives me the greatest heart attack is looking at those huge achievement gaps that we have for our students.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate that we are very purposeful in what are our goals in closing those achievement gaps, because I think what we have as a school, and the ones that we measure against probably have this as well, but not all schools do, we have students over time. We don't have a revolving door of students, and so by the time they get to 7th and 8th grade, we should not see those achievement gaps for our Black students, for our Hispanic students, for the free and reduced lunch. That's a much harder piece to sort of overcome because there are barriers outside of school that we don't have as much control over, but those achievement gaps definitely give me a heart attack.
Yeah, but it looks like that low income and minorities were much more severely hit during this pandemic.
Right.
We have some of our high performing charter schools. If you look at it, they were hit very hard.
Right. Yes.
It was surprising, but I think what we in our strategic plan, as we said, we really need to work hard with the parents and our teachers. I'll talk about it later. Our teachers and more aggressive in the support. Especially academic support is working very well. If you look at the 6th grade, for instance, good math and the support that have been provided, you can see it in the test scores. Those kids who were there, who attended the academic support. Unfortunately, there were a lot of minority in that group. NWA, this is our 4 years in reading, fall. I think that according to Bruce, we did in terms of performance well compared to nationwide, but also how our kids grew. And this is by ethnicity, how we're doing for reading. So you can stop and comment whenever you want if you have questions. This is for IEP students. We have 300 use IEP and all compared to all students, how they did. I guess the 300 use get back to their pre-pandemic achievement. Okay, this is math. the math for all students, we went back a little bit. We're not there yet, but we're almost getting there. The pre-pandemic in the achievement. And math again, this is for ethnicity and race, what we're doing. Overall students went at their almost level, and but we still have our black students are not back at least where they used to be before. Hispanics stay almost the same, but a little bit down too. And multiracial went from 36 to 61. Free and reduced IEP student and all compared to all students. Science, curiously, the NWA, and if you can see it in the map, there is some discrepancies. It's higher. It's high here, and we did not really decrease because between 81 and 78 is very close. This is how we do by ethnicity. Same, I would say same things. The gap, even though we see that Hispanic and multiracial already almost at the same level as white.
Why was there so much variance in the map and not as much variance in the NWA, do you think?
That's a very good question. So normally the NWA was supposed to be calibrated with the map test, and we try to do some prediction based on our achievement. But this is fall, and we're good to look at what happened in the spring, also. But yeah, it's a very good question. I'll ask Bruce because Bruce is the one dealing with our data. See what's going on. And NWA is national. We're comparing ourselves against all the kids who are taking the same test. Science, also for free and reduced, and IEP students. In general, our IEP students for the last how many years have always outperformed all the surrounding school districts, even though we don't have sometimes the same cases, but that's what we see. Any questions? So, what are we doing? Just as I talked to the performance committee, one thing, the Read to Lead we introduced this year to target the third grade in English. Why? Because, as I said, what the NWA showed was the second grade last year, and remember the second grade have been the one who came to school with kindergarten and first grade and have been really online and affected. So we needed to really be very focused on supporting them. So we have this program, Read to Lead, funded by School Smart, and thank you, School Smart. It's going really well. I shared with you this Read to Lead last board meeting, and they did the assessment. Kids are really progressing. We'll see how it's going to look like at the end of the school year, and then with NWA too. We have also increased the instructional time in math because all the dip we received during the pandemic is due to lack of quality teaching and learning and lack of time. So we're adding more math time in kindergarten, first and second grade, but also in third, fourth, and fifth. Instead of having 5 sessions of math, they're having 7 sessions of math. It's taking from social study, because social study, we used to give 5 hours, 5 sessions. It was more than what was recommended by DECI. It's 180 minutes. So we're going to get back to 180 minutes that's recommended, and then reallocate the time to mathematics. They still recommend 300 minutes of math, so we will be giving more than that for our kids.
Okay.
So, and it may take another 2 more years. It's going to be a combination of more instructional time, academic support during the day. Unfortunately, it has been very hard to hire paraprofessionals. We don't see them anywhere, especially in French. It has been extremely difficult. Even hiring, remember, we wanted to have more interns for first grade, but we were not even able to be provided. Amity was not able to find enough interns we asked for. We asked for 14 interns. We were not able to get it. So it's a shortage. So hiring a paraprofessional for support, academic support during the day with small groups, but also after-school program with teachers providing after-school academic support. So we need. The third one is quality of instruction. We're looking at the teaching and learning. How do we support our teachers for teaching math in a more effective way, especially math? Science also, at this point, we have each of us, the leadership divided. One is working with math instruction in 4th and 5th grade. Another person is working with 4th and 5th grade for science instruction. And another one is still working with kindergarten, 1st grade for reading and math. That's what we're doing. And also providing after-school transportation to make sure, at least here, to make sure that kids can stay. But we're competing against also athletics. Sometimes kids were not able to an after-school program. But this is really, really important for kids to be attentive, to be helped. If they're not there, they're not learning. One of the biggest challenges we face for kids who need support are not there and are not supported appropriately.
I do think at the basis of all of that, it's building really strong relationships with our students, with our families, right, to sort of really create a community of support. So it's not all sort of academic, but it's how is the whole student doing, essentially, because we know, students are struggling in many ways. Academic is one of them.
So we're also using summer school for targeted academic intervention. We've done it for the last couple of years to make sure that we look at kids, what they need, and then build a progression to support them. That's what we're also doing.
Are there academic standards required for extracurricular participation?
No. And also, I told you about this my new math instructional resources and providing those resources to our teachers. Looks like it's a book program, Eureka Math, but it's not enough. It's more also how do we make sure that our teachers are supported for effective instruction in mathematics. I think science we may get back. Another also explanation of some challenges we face is we also take a student from everywhere now for our high schools, and it requires a lot of support. And it has also affected our math, severely affected our math test scores in high school. So when they arrive, they have to be tested anyway for math. So it will take some time. The great thing is our high school team has been extremely helpful and supportive. Our math department is great. We have 2 amazing teachers helping those students because our goal is, of course, any of those students graduate on time in 4 years, and they require a lot of work and help. It also affects teaching chemistry and physics later because they need to have that basis in mathematics. But again, part of that deep also is high school math. So it was a big challenge. So when we come back, we are planning a meeting to coordinate 5th grade to 12th grade math teaching, and with the goal to build that progressions to make sure that using summer school, using academic support with multiple prong approach and supporting those kids working with the family, of course. We can't do it without the working with the families. It's not going to work. We have to do that. Any?
Extra help in reading, is that in French or English or both?
The lead to read is in English. The lead to read is in English.
Third grade.
It's third grade, yes. Because third grade, a few years ago, I would say in 2007, 6, I would say a few years ago, we started our reading intervention program. The reading intervention is in French and English. We have grandparents, parents, other people working with a small group for 30 minutes every day in reading in English. But at the same time, in the classroom, I'm talking about for struggling readers, in the classroom, kids are reading in French, novels, literary works for 30 minutes, and then working with the teacher in French, reading. Why we wanted to do that? Because we realized kids won't be reading French book at home. And we wanted to make sure that by the time they finish here, at least every year, they read at least 5 books in French. And providing the time of those 30 minutes of reading every day. And we bought, at the time, we bought a lot of books, classroom libraries for kids to read during that time. So, but we also added, we noticed 5 or 6 or 7 years ago when we changed our time that third grade had issue in reading in English. And if you look at our test scores before, they have always been below the 60%. So one other thing we introduced was the paraprofessional health reader in third grade, because we want to make sure that by the time they finish third grade, kids are where they need to be in reading. So if you look at, if you go back and look at our test scores in English, because they were going down from 2012 or 2010, 11, 12 was really going down. Since we do that, we can see that as you look at, we outperform all these school districts and have been third grade MAP tests went some years up to 80% of professional and advanced. So we've had, our school had for some years where we had 80% of English language arts in the MAP test. So that's why it's not really an issue, but we focus on reading for our kids to be able to read. And one other measure that we took was English teacher and French teacher working together in their progression, so that when they teach introducing a notion, they introduce together so kids can see it in English and see it in French to be able to get it. So that's what we did for English, and we continue to do that. Unfortunately, with COVID, the reading intervention stopped because they don't have anybody coming in to do the small groups. So we did not do all those things that we used to do. Many things we used to do, we stopped it. So we have to get back to that and help the kids.
I just want to say thank you very much for doing the bullet points for us, really identifying those strategies and knowing that we're all very concerned. But I also want to echo what Beth said. That relationship piece is really hard, particularly where, you're going to have kids that are doubling down on that math. And, we understand it's the whole child, not just the math.
That's true.
Or just the reading.
Yeah, we're working with School Smart KC to build a partnership, school-family partnership. And all our teachers and principals are being trained how to build that partnership.
Yeah.
Part of it, this year, we had every teacher calling families and talk about their kids, and so many things that turn out to be really good.
Yeah.
So it's our focus for professional development this year, and starting last year also, is family-school partnership,
Good.
how to work together.
It's hard because it's a two-way street.
Right.
So, working for a lot of years on that teacher side, you can do a lot of reach out, but it also takes a willing partner on the other side. So just please tell your teachers that we are very supportive and we know how hard that work is.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's move to the staff recognition. Over there, are you hearing me online there on the Zoom? Heather, do you hear me?
Yes, it's better. For a while when you were talking, it kept cutting out for like 20 seconds at a time. But in the last couple of minutes, it seems to be better.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll keep an eye on the chat, so I'll watch if anybody's having issues.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Staff recognition, this is for chair recognition, Madame Magay and Edward Asino for their work with the Cherry Gardens. Bravo, Mr. Dembagay, Mademba, and Asino.
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful garden. Cherry did a good job also for their Mondial, their soccer tournament.
Yeah.
It was fun, a lot of fun.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I saw also parents' decoration and those hallway, very beautiful decoration based on the team and Canada. I saw it's beautiful. Mexico too also. Oak recognized Madame Beranger Mayu, who is a kindergarten teacher from here. She has been here 2016, 2022 so far. I mean, she's fantastic. She's also a teacher rep at the Conseil d'École. All our appreciation and gratitude for her impactful leadership on the kindergarten team. Madam Mayu embodies the quintessence and the continuity of education in kindergarten. Her teammates can always rely on her expertise and willingness to collaborate. Merci. Yeah, she's really a gem. She's amazing. We're so lucky to have her. Hopefully she'll stay a long time here and never leave.
Lucky to have her.
She's amazing. Yeah.
It's a great way to start into the school.
Yeah, she's amazing. And Alma recognized Kate Upshur. It is a joy to honor Kate Upshur, our high school and IB diploma ELA and middle school theater teacher. As high school team leader and debate coach, Kate has our students exhibiting great confidence, poise, and excellence as they debate their opponents. This is only her second year at Alma, and she has very significantly and positively impacted our school culture and its growth. Kate is a joyful and relentless bundle of energy and spreads it around all day, every day, to every student and adult at Alma. Thank you, Kate. She's also really building this theater, and I see all these kids are really,
Cool.
they love it.
Yep.
And in fact, it's funny. When we bought this building and we were putting things, I always walk down the hall, this hall, and there's in the left side, there's a big room that used to be used by a former school with athletic. And whenever I walk there and stay there, I'm seeing a theater room. And I'm saying, we need to have theater. We need to have theater. Because my former school had theater, and it worked really well. So until she showed up, and she's a theater teacher, I'm saying, wow. So she's putting together a performance that will be funded to be beautiful. And whenever I walk there and see her in that room, I was dreaming to have a theater there. I say, wow, that's amazing. What do you need? We put the equipment, because we want to make sure that arts, theater, music,
Absolutely.
and visual art is really good. That's what we want.
Yep.
Doing great. This is academic, November 9th and 10th, School Smart Casey Talent Alumni Advisory Court meetings with the principals to identify ongoing support needed for recruitment and retention of high-quality teachers. So our principals are part of that full program that is being funded by the School Smart Casey, and helping them see how do we help retain our teachers, deal with human resource, and especially quality teachers that have been going on for the last 2 years. So student transportation has improved, except for a couple of buses that we have mainly in the morning at Oak and Cherry. We have a couple of buses arriving at 8:35, 8:40. Cherry and Oak start their day at 8:15. So it's mainly around 30 minutes for a couple of buses or 3 buses every day. We have less issue now dropping kids in the afternoon. I hope it's not going to come back again. Armor, I think Marisa is very happy, and she always brag about it to her colleagues. They don't like that. And it's going really well. Jeff told me today, Jeff is amazing. I did not think it would be this easy. I really thought it would be a problem. But
Oh, no.
it turned out to be fine. Now we have our 6 buses running, so which means we have at least a spare bus. There's another one that is need to be repaired because we were planning to spend $107,000. We spent only for 7 buses $700,000. Of course, $70,000. So we have to make sure that these buses are really working well.
Well, from the operations report, it sounds like at first student, the people all turned over, which made a big difference.
Or it sounds like he's hopeful it will make a difference.
Oh, okay.
In the news. That they just started, that there's a new team at First Student. They've replaced all of their local staff. Not
I hope so. It's much better now.
Yeah.
It's much better. Hopefully, it's going to continue. I know that a couple of weeks or 3 weeks ago, I met with a school leader. He was really complaining about the service of First Student. He wasn't happy. I met with him in Washington, D.C. So, but I said, well, for us, our small company is working well, and I think that Shade and Oak is improving. Other than those 3 buses coming in. So, the principals and HR coordinator are already meeting to identify staffing needs, post openings, and start the process for screening and interviewing for next year. As you know, every year, because of our growth, we'll need, even if everybody stays, we need 4 to 5 new teachers to hire. Maybe not that many next year. So if you have a 10% attrition, you're talking about now hiring at least 15 to 16 teachers. So,
and I know part of what we talked about in the summer retreat is salaries, and that we struggle to sort of recruit teachers because of salaries.
Problem.
So at what point do we need to be talking about sort of what the budget is for next year as far as salaries go for teachers? Because that impacts recruiting, which is already beginning.
Yeah, the principal are talking to teachers now to see what it takes to retain them. It's part of the training. Instead of waiting there until a teacher walks into your office and say, I'm leaving, go to see them and say, hey, what issue do you have? What does it take to retain you? And what is your next, what do you think about staying, and what are your plans? Some, especially those going back home, we can retain them. But if there is any working condition that we can improve, we'll do it. The third one is about the salary part. I know that I've heard, at least from a principal, that it was raised by a couple of teachers. Salary part, because if you follow the news, district like Hickman Mill, they increase by 30% or something. The salary rate, and it's going around. The district receive a lot of money with the ESSA money, and unfortunately, we don't have the possibility of Hickman Mill, who had a levy. I think they voted a bond to do that.
But, I would suggest in January that we have that conversation to sort of talk about what do we have the ability to do so it doesn't have a negative impact on our recruiting.
After the revision, Stephen and I, we're looking at the need and starting the work on the next year budget. So it's going to start early before we start recruitment or offering contract for next year.
Yeah.
It is very challenging because last year we really had to work with some teachers to keep them because of salary, mainly. Some teachers we lost them, some teachers we were able to keep them, but for how long? It's hard.
When do contracts start for the next year?
What?
Contracts?
We send the intent to return in February, And once they say either they're returning or no, we try to give the contract no later than April 15th. I think we need to move it earlier, at least in March, the end of March, or April 1st. But it will depend also whatever the board voted for salary metrics and compensation and so on.
But I do think it would help a little bit if there was the conversation already starting at the board level that that is a priority for the board. I think that would be an enticement for not waiting till the last minute to sign that intent over. Just know it from my experience of working with teachers.
Yes.
It has been very much tougher to hire, especially teachers coming from other districts. It used to be easy, even though they paid more. People, used to choose our school district.
Well, you have to kind of think, I think the independent school board is going to a 4-day week. You have Park Hill School District up there that's going to pay student teachers $5,000. I mean, those are, yeah.
They will start recruiting in June.
They're going to,
Also, they're going to try to find any good teachers.
They'll be able to cream off the best student teachers and then hire them.
Right. So we need to start that conversation soon to.
But unfortunately, we can't hire student teacher in France or from France.
No,
Yeah.
I realize that, but
Right.
Yeah, I know. The districts are doing those things, and we need to be aware of that.
yeah.
Yes, I know that one of our teachers was, we work hard to keep her because they want to recruit her, and she's great, very good. So, and if you talk about Alma, where you have more of a English-speaking teacher because it's high school, and you were investing for their training in IB, you lose those teachers. You're losing doubly.
Losing a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And, we are who we are because of our teachers, right? They make the school what it is, and they earn every dime. I would love to pay them far more. They still don't make enough money. So I think anything we can do to really invest in our teachers and support them, whatever they need to be successful, I would encourage us to do.
Yeah. So the high school chemistry and art rooms are already done. Not are already, are being completed over the summer before New Year. The art room, I think they have a shortage or a back order for cove base. I was surprised, but also certain things that need to complete the sink behind, but it's almost done. Science room, what you have here, the first slide. I need to get back there so you can see it. This is what you have. The kids are already using it, but it's this one. You see it here? How it looks like. It's a triangle, not triangle. The only science room. This is one. The furniture is here. It's already drilled the hole. The electrical one station. Last two over there is going to be done. And plumbing. Follow the floor was already drilled. The plumbing will happen during the break. I want to make sure that I have no surprise when we come back from the break. I don't want to hear all these things is not yet. I want to teach it.
Is there gas too at each?
Yeah.
There's gas, but we're not going to put gas there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they have all those things. It's really beautiful.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, kids like it. Okay, let me go back to where I was now. Oops. What is this? So any question about this report and anything, the school in general? So I would love also to get back to my every other week, every month at least have a small meeting with board members just to exchange, and so that you have a time for me to share with you the thinking and then share with you what's happening. Because we only meet during board meetings, and after that, I don't meet with any of you. I think it would be good to at least every other month or once a quarter have a coffee, talk about whatever you have. Oh, if you don't have time, it can be on online. I would say that Michelle has a special, I'll say a special recognition. Maybe she's the only board member that has been very punctual in those meetings since we started. She has always been there for meetings to discuss things every other month. Yeah, every other month we meet online. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now, President's report you have.
Just two quick things. I mentioned last time there's a self-assessment I think the board should do. I don't want to add anything to people's plates this month, so we'll do it after the new year. It's just like a 15-minute assessment to identify sort of what are our strengths, what are the areas that we should work on as a board. It does also ask for a few teachers and parents to complete it as well, which I think we definitely have work to do to create more connections, right? We sort of work in isolation. So I think it's something that we'll think about doing differently as a board. The other thing is I emailed a potential just happy hour. I don't know if people want another time to get together. Everybody is just so crazy busy, but take a look at that email. I proposed January 26th just for informal happy hour for anybody interested. It is not required. So just respond to that email when you get a chance to see, one, if you're interested, and two, if that date works. Those things.
Okay, and then I would just like to say that I definitely could not do a meeting on the 30th of December.
Okay. And
It's a Friday.
got it.
Sorry.
No, we only need 5 people, so we don't need everybody
Okay.
to say yes. And
I always feel bad because, you kind of feel like it's a commitment.
But I feel bad that I feel like we've asked a lot of board members lately at a time when everybody is already so busy. So no, we will find our 5 people, and I actually think we have a commitment from 5 people. So okay, we should be good. We can get the vote done. We can move forward.
Do we have a commitment for, I'm in that.
Yeah. So
I'm in.
But I can't on the morning of the 29th.
right. So I think between the 4 of us, and Marvin also thought that he could help if it's virtual and short and in the meeting or in the morning. I said yes. So the 5 of us will find a time that works.
You send it out, if it works, it
Yeah.
works.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
wanted you to know I could not do Friday.
Right, which I totally understand. I hate you have
Me
to
too.
add
I'm
one
sorry
more
for that.
meeting, but
No,
it is what it is. I know it's out of your control.
And I have waited, I'm asked that morning because I've waited to push all of my doctor's appointments to get in. So like the last day. So I'm like, I can't cancel these.
Great story. I appreciate everybody's commitment on the many things that we have been faced with this year. With that, I have one quick closed session item that we need to discuss. So can I have a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Right, everyone in favor? Michael?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yes.
Kelly? Yes. Jill? Jen? Marvin, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay. TJ, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay. So we will go ahead into closed session. Can you take us off of YouTube?